All right, hey everybody, this is Jesus. This is the Broken Knuclez podcast. This is episode 6, and today I am going to be talking about what I'm calling affectionately the league. Um, yeah, so let's just jump right into it so I can explain what I'm talking about. So, uh, the reason I started the podcast actually was I have another. Honestly, I do have another goal, and then the more research, the more thinking I was doing about it, there were certain holes in the FGC that I particularly noticed, and I didn't see anything to fill them from the areas that I was looking. So I decided to do this podcast just to talk about certain things that I think aren't discussed nowhere near enough in the FGC. So by starting doing this, I'm actually I'm enjoying myself doing the podcast. So I'm gonna keep doing this, and but there is another part to Broken Knuclez in particular, and that's the league. And so what the league is this. So all right, I'm gonna spill all the beans. Are you ready? I've been paying a lot of attention to a number of things, and there's certain truths that are happening. The truth is that digital versions of real life sports are going to really start take hold mainstream, and either because of injuries or because of terrible business practices from leagues, or because of terrible gambling business practices. There's just a number of things that's happening out in the real world that's about to when there's an economic downturn, it's really going to get ugly. You know what I mean? And it's going to hurt a lot of entertainment, sports types of things, because there's a lot of money going there, and none of it, not saying none of it, but a lot of it is being used to fuel bad practices, right? Let's just say it like that. So with that being the case, people still desire entertainment though. Like that's still going to be the thing, and so the wider variety of entertainment provided to them, the better chance there's going to be for new versions of entertainment to get out there and really take hold. So this is where the league comes in. Now, I personally did martial arts my whole life. Giant lover of most combat sports. I got tired of boxing for very particular reasons. The biggest reason is that you couldn't get any good matches anymore. For a good sense. There's a lot of injuries involved. People get their asses beat often, and so you want to make sure that you're not just risking yourself for no reason. That blah blah blah. All these things that I understand why it became the way it was, but I wasn't a big fan of that. So I started watching the UFC, and the UFC, because it was very self-contained. Basically, MMA is one thing, but the UFC being the biggest dog in the yard, is fairly self-contained, so they can dictate the way their stuff goes. And with that being the case, they're able to really get you the matches you want to see a lot easier, more often. And if you're not seeing a match, there's other reasons. Not that so and so person is truly ducking this person because they want to keep their title or other things like that. The UFC has more control over their fighters to force such situations. But yeah. So anyway, with that being the case, my biggest issue right now with the UFC in particular is the its treatment of fighters. You know what I mean? It's like it's really moving into WWE territory, and what I mean by that is that well, let's just say like this: you can't be an independent contractor and an employee at the same time. It just doesn't work. That's not how things work. Yeah. So the UFC is like trying to play that game, and I'm particularly against that because Anyway, that's not important. What is important is that looking at the UFC and boxing and a number of other sports, it really got me thinking that the FGC, there's a huge space here. You know what I mean? Like competition, one on one, there's a bunch of it. It's exciting. Some games are geared for our younger viewers because of all of the lights and flashiness, but there's other games that are real basic and entertaining and really, when you start to have the right IP, i.e., Injustice 2, um, people want to watch. People have no idea what's going on. Like, oh my God, that's Wonder Woman and Superman fighting. Wow, why are they fighting? What's going on? Blah blah. So there's a lot to market here. You know what I mean? So with that being the case, I was trying thinking about, well, what would be the best way to make this happen? What would I personally like to see? And I started really thinking about it, and so I really came up, and this is where the league came from, right? So this is some ideas what I'm thinking about, not the whole thing, but just really some ideas, right? So basically, um, before I get into this, I do want to also mention that I'm really doing this because I believe the FGC as a community needs well, wider variety of entertainment. There's definitely a lot of different things I personally want to see, but also, there's a lot of these ethereal conversations. Who's the best player? Who's the blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And personally, I believe that when you start to run long sets, you know what I mean. I've played a couple people who were remarkable, and in the beginning, yeah, because like any good person, you have to see what the other person's capable of. And because I have a modicum of talent, in the beginning, I'm a little elusive, you know what I mean? Like in a tournament setting, I might steal a match or two from you. You know what I mean? I might beat a person who I shouldn't be beating because, yeah, I just use tools that other people don't use. But because I use them so often, I use them well. So, with that being the case, um, yeah, I wonder what would happen in a long set. And actually, I do know because in the long set, once I'm playing a person who's actually really good, yeah, by game four is normally when it takes its turn, and then I can't win it all. Like everything I've used all of my things. I have no idea what you're doing, all of that good stuff, right? So I believe long sets is when you start to see who is actually better than who. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that just blows my mind with Sonic Fox is it doesn't matter. You put him in losers. If you put him in losers, okay, the next time he meets you, it will most likely be the grand finals. Or if it's in losers, you're getting dusted. If it's in grand finals, there's a high probability that by game three, he would figure out everything he needs to, and then he will mop you for the rest of the match. Like, it's pretty trippy. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, once again, and to me, that's when you start to see who is actually the better player. You know what I'm saying? We've seen a lot of people beat Sonic Fox and put him to losers because he just couldn't adapt in the 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 situation he was in. But as soon as they got to grand finals, oh, you forget about it. Getting dusted, 6-0 sometimes. You know what I mean? So I really believe long sets is where we begin to actually see who's better. So that's a big reason why that, and I think that's going to be answering some real questions we got in the FGC. We got some things that I think, yeah, there's some people who are getting really hyped up who have a little clout under their name, but I think when it comes down to it, their abilities, even their results. No, that's a better way to say it. Their results don't truly match their abilities. You know what I mean? Like, they're great in a tournament setting, so I'm not ever trying to take any of that away from people. But when we start putting them in first to fives, first to tens, oh, then we start to see really the real chinks in the armor. So anyway, that's the biggest thing I want for the league. I personally want to know who's really up there and all that kind of idea. So, um, yeah. So let me just give you some kind of ideas I'm thinking about. So I'm really thinking about having this run first to fives and first to tens. You know what I mean? And in the show, I don't know, man. I got some interesting ideas. You know what I mean? Like, I personally love the concept of mixed media, meaning that I'm watching this prize fight basically, and then in between prize fights, there's a music video, or maybe there is hell, a short film, or just some bit of other media that's really entertaining, which will kill that time, which is inevitably going to be there. So instead of like run around forcing the commentators to do a song and dance for 15, 20 minutes, or like example, when you watch a UFC pay-per-view, a lot of that dead time they take up with their own media. You're watching inside the fighter and all of the footage that they shot leading up to that. So that's one idea, something like that. Or I personally love if there would if I could get like some comedy sketches or just really cool things to fill up that time. But anyways, that's kind of the idea for the show. Being fighting and something else to go in between the prize fighting matches. And man, I would love, like, the ultimate goal is to be able to have a live prize fighting event at least 3 to 6 times a year, like once a season, once every other month, in different places around the country, just because. Yeah, dude, I think that would be freaking awesome. That's kind of like the ultimate goal of how frequent I want it. And I definitely want to do live shows. And in the live shows, it'd be different than the other type of show I was talking about before, because it'd be live, but not really, because it'd be live and streamed. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I want to get to live shows. That's another thing too. Like, I'm really excited about all of that. And but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm still working and still really thinking about the idea and the design for it. But man, I don't know. At the current iteration, you're probably going to see a lot of cages, a lot of chains and fire and stuff, because men. uh, but like I said, that's only for right now. I have to come up with some better ideas, and it just takes time. You know what I mean? Because I can only think about what I think about. So when the time comes, please, I need better ideas, because it's only me thinking right now. So anyway, one of the things that I speaking on the podcast leading towards that, one of the things I'm really excited for, hopefully we can get this going soon, is I want to do podcast interviews. I want to talk to some of the top players. I want to talk to some of the top commentators, and I really want to, not so much about the FGC, because you know that's what, when they do get the few interviews, that chances that they do get, that's where it goes. You know what I mean? Oh, what about fighting games? Blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I saw one interview with Tasty Steve that was really good. It was excellent interview. The guy was well versed for not knowing anything about the FGC like that. So yeah, so I'm trying to shoot for real levels like that. I want to be able to get some great questions and get some just really good interviews. But that's the biggest thing. The podcasts are for me, is to get a chance to get the interviews from these top people who are putting up the results, who are showing that they know what they're talking about, and all that kind of good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And as it comes down to, so something else I had to figure out, what I was thinking about, was like, how do I like do seeding? How do I, figure out top people and all that stuff? Because technically, there's not enough information on long sets from some of these top players. And then it just kind of dawned on me. Almost every game has a pro league. I'm just going to use that seeding in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? To try to figure out stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited about it. I'm really excited. There's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to pull together on the back end, so that when the time comes, it'll be awesome. Hopefully it'll be fun. But yeah, so I want to talk about some logistical things about it. So in case you're one of the people who I asked you to come check out this podcast, just kind of hear what I'm thinking about, I want to talk about some rules, and I want to talk about some couple of things, right? So first off, I want to talk about prize money, right? Because it is prize fighting I'm talking about. So I look at it like this. One of the things that I've come to understand in the working on this project is that the large sums of money that comes to the fighters generally comes from gambling. And I personally, I'm not a gambler. I don't know anything about gambling. So when we start looking at these huge prize pools or huge prizes for this stuff, uh, I do know that there's a way to get there, but I personally don't know how to get there yet. So that's something I'm working on. But before we get there, I think what's more important, and which is actually more FGC of us, would be to. So I'm gonna scrape up a couple bucks, whatever I can scrape up for the guaranteed prize would be what the prize is for the long set. But then also, what I plan on doing is a matcherino, a couple of different matcherinos for each event. And I wanted to run for a couple of days before the event so that the different players know what they're playing for. And so the way I'm looking at it is like this, right? So you got the guarantee split, the stuff that comes out of my personal pocket. Whatever that comes out to is always going to be a 75-25 split. 75 to the winner, 25 to the loser, because it's my money. So I have to. I don't get anything out of that. Just so you understand. Um, but now, as it comes to the Matcherino split, basically it's going to be a 70-25 5. 70 to the winner, 25 to the loser. 5 comes back to Broken Knuclez, so we can keep pushing this thing forward. Now, the types of matcherinos, what I want to do is have a matcherino per fight, per match, where that gets split 75-25. Well, no, that gets split like I just talked about. Um, and then have a match of the night where that matcherino gets sent to the winners of the match of the night. And that one is slightly different because that one gets split. I guess 5% again, and then the other 95% gets split 50-50. So 50-50 of 95%. That's the easier way to say that. But that goes to the match of the night one. And that, right now, I'm thinking about doing a Twitter poll or something along those lines. I honestly don't know the best way to get it done. I might actually try to run a poll at the end of the thing. I don't know. There's trying to figure out the best way to do it fair and to do it quickly. And always the plan on payouts is not just ASAP, because I plan on having the money there. So as the matcherino goes, however long it takes matcherino to pay out whatever the matcherino is, I plan on releasing the money directly after the fight or directly after the poll comes in, the end of the poll. And then as it comes to the guarantee split, you get paid out you know, directly after the end of the broadcast. I type whatever needs to be typed so you get your money. So that's just how the prize part goes. I want to kind of get that out there first and foremost. Yeah, so if any questions, if you're someone who I asked to listen to this, please just contact me and I'll explain. We'll get into deeper. All right, so now what I want to talk about are the two types of matches, right? So the two types of matches we're going to have are a first to 5 and then the first to 10. So the first to 10, I'm really seeing as super fights or championship matches. Those will be the featured matches on any major event, broadcast, whatever that I do. So it's not that they won't be done often, but they're not the main focus right now. The main focus are going to be the first to 5s, and the first to 5s are really the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter, right? So let's talk about the first to 5 rules. So in the first to 5, one of the things I want to make sure is that, so here it is. There's no character change in the first to 5. When you agree upon doing the match, you're going to agree to what character you're going to use, and you have one variation change if the variation change exists in your game, right? So what does that mean? So that means you're going to pick the one character and you're going to know what their character is. So you can just train against that character. And yeah. So I think that's important because I don't want to highlight character specialists. What I want to highlight more is character knowledge. Yeah. So as it comes to first to 5s, you only got to win 5 games. Yes, I want you to pick the character that you feel you're most knowledgeable to play against the other character that they said they're going to play or that they do play or whatever it is. So that's why I'm going to definitely have no character change and only one variation change on the loss in the whole set. So whenever if you lose the first game and you choose to do your one variation change, then that's the only one variation change you got. And you're going to play the rest after the rest of the set. So adds a bit of strategic thinking involved in there too. So now, simple, first to five. First person to win 5 games wins the match. There's that. Now, there's something else I was thinking about. So if it's now 4-0, the chances of the person, because we're talking about people who are basically equally skilled, um, coming back 5-0 to win the match is not impossible. But, that's probably not going to happen. So I wanted to add an element of excitement, an element of the knockout, of the submission, of the because I see the going to the five, winning the 5 matches, as going and winning the decision. I wanted to add something, an element of it ending early, a bit of excitement. So I thought about this. Now this isn't hard set in stone, but this is definitely what I'm going with until I can come up with something better. So within those 5 matches, by completing in any game, um, totaling 4 perfect rounds, you win by TKO. So what do I mean by that? So that means that you can technically lose the game, but you got a perfect round in there. So you lost 2 of the rounds, but you got 1 perfect round in there. Now that goes, that's like catching a big hit, right? You get 4 of those in the match. You know what I mean? Because the person could win their 4th game, but you've got your 4th perfect round. Game's over. You win. It's like a TKO. Now, in the first to 5 setup, you win any game by all perfects. Depending on the game, you might have more rounds, but you win any game by all perfects. That's it. That's like a TKO. That's not a TKO. That's a knockout. You win. It's over. Rhapsody. So the other person could be up once again 4-0 on the 5th game. You double perfect them. That's it. You win. It's a knockout. Once again, I believe that adds a certain element of excitement in there. And I've played enough to realize that training to get it perfect is not an impossible idea. That doesn't mean you'll get it all the time. No one I can believe. Well, there might be somebody, sure, I don't know, who masters how to get a double perfect whenever they want. Then that's a knockout artist. You see what I'm saying? I think it extends for. I think these rules move past just the playing of the game, just who can press what buttons faster. I think we really move into thinking strategy on a different level. So I'm really excited about that. So now, as we talk about the first to 10, we're basically going to say it's just like the first to 5 with some minor changes. The biggest change is that in the first to 10, you get 1 character change on a lost, and you get up to 3 variation changes. So if your game has variation changes, you get up to 3, not 3 per character, up to 3 total. So you can spend all 3 on 1 character, and then you go, you know what, I'm just going to change character. But when you change characters, you do not have any more variation changes. Once again, you win 10 games, you win the whole thing. Now here, you need to complete 6 perfect rounds to get that TKO. All right, and then also you need 2. That's right, 2 all perfect games to get a knockout. So I don't know that one. I don't know. I still think I might. It might be only 1 also, but right now I just doubled it just to. I'd rather err in the side of caution, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So that's the rules for the first to 10, and yeah, I think this league here will really really change the conversation about who's better than who and all of that stuff. Yeah, you do well in tournaments. In tournaments, you can flip your character, flip whenever you want, and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's just the changing of the character is the very thing that allows you to win in the tournament. You know what I mean? The other person's not prepared mentally, or they haven't done the training for that change, and bow, you win. So we eliminate all of those kind of things and really get down to see who has a better understanding of both their character and of the game. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Excuse me. All right. Yeah. So that's the league, man, and that's something I'm pushing towards, and I really hope that it can be pulled together. And when it does, it's gonna. Hopefully, it does well, man. I really got. There's a lot more to this that I've been thinking about. Yeah. I'm pretty excited. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about classes according to like the anime classic games, 3D classic games, 2D classic games. Yeah, I'm just really thinking about different ways to break it up because I really also want to see like they got the champ thing in UFC right now is a big push. Like I really thinking about it. A person like Sonic Fox could easily be a 3 or 4 game champ, which would be kind of sick. You know what I mean? Those are the kind of things that I'm really thinking about because you're gonna have to really focus and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling on now, so let me stop here. So that's the league. I'm really excited. If I ask you to come here, please, hopefully get back with me. Let's talk about it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, blah blah blah. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you. Please, share that kind of stuff. And if this is Facebook, what's up? Facebook community. We're just I really want to start to really build the conversation around stuff. So please drop some posts. Let's get to talking. All of that good stuff. Jesus, Broken Knuclez. I'm out.